welcome to another week of political discussion and observation on the kind of things that have been going around our country over the last 7 days since we last had this conversation. As always, I will keep appreciating every single one of the viewers who actually view our videos, the people who have subscribed, the close to 7,000 people who have subscribed, the people who leave comments. We appreciate Sana. And those comments sometimes are the ones that lead us to better the kind of shows we're doing. We heard you about the voice, the sound quality. We're trying to work on that. And we keep trying to make sure this experience is a good experience, even as we try and put across thoughts and narratives and conversations that we think should be happening. This week, I'm not going to go very far from home. And I want to talk about Rigathi Gachagua and the challenges that he seems to be having locally and nationally. First, Rigathi is on record many times talking about the stakeholding of the Mount Kenya region in this government. Shareholding. And a lot of people have taken offense about that particular position that he has taken. I personally think it's a serious misunderstanding by anybody who thinks that when Rigathi is talking about a shareholding in government, he means to exclude other people from the benefits of the government. What he is saying is that the people who formed this government are certain people from certain places. And I want you to try and put this in context or in perspective. When the Jews support you in America, they support you. They're actually not very many. I think they're like 2 or 3%. But the support they push your way is huge in terms of resources, in terms of just mobilization capacity. They control Hollywood. They run a lot of the media. So when they come to your side when you're running for president in America, it is huge. Now, once you get elected, the Jews have specific expectations of you as president. Some are internal in America, others concern their homeland, Israel. And that is why when you get elected and the Jews supported you, there are certain things they expect you to do. Some that don't even make sense to the rest of the world, but they expect you to protect and defend the interests of Israel. Right? Trump was supported very strongly by the white evangelicals, the Bible Belt, 10 states, primarily. And of course, a lot of other people. When he became president, that white evangelical had certain basic expectations of Trump that they held him to because they supported him. That's the part that people don't seem to understand. President William Ruto today got 3.9 million votes out of 7.2 million votes that made him president. Over half or close to half of those votes came from generally the Mount Kenya region. The Mount Kenya region, therefore, has certain expectations of President William Ruto. And it is, in fact, President Ruto has, under no circumstances, tried to express that he does not understand that obligation he has to the region. In fact, he goes out of his way over and over and over again to keep reassuring the region that I know what you guys did for me, I know how you came out for me, I know the resistance you faced to come out for me, and I will not forget. Rigathi Gachagua, at this moment in time, is in a very interesting position. He's the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And there was a time we were having a discussion with some friends of mine, and there is this feeling that, and I realized even Raila fell into that particular trap of thinking, okay, Rigathi Gachagua is a national leader, is the deputy president of the whole of Kenya. True. But Mudavadi is a prime cabinet secretary of the Republic of Kenya. But all of them understand, this particular government especially, was formed as a negotiation by representatives of different regions who came and agreed with Ruto that we will mobilize our people if you do the following for us. We will mobilize our people if you give us senior positions in government. So President Ruto gave Mudavadi and Wetangula senior positions in government. They mobilized the part of the Luhya vote they could. Alfred Mutua came and said, I'll mobilize my people if you give me a certain position in government. Done. Now, Rigathi Gachagua, there's always this argument about whether Rigathi Gachagua or it is President Ruto who mobilized Mount Kenya region. But I keep thinking that had it not been a Mount Kenya person who was deputy president, I do not think that 3.9 million votes would have gone to William Ruto. So let's first give it to the region. It mobilized against some of us, against the incumbent president at the time, and they went and decided we want President Ruto to be our president. And they came out in large numbers. Actually, the largest basket that went to the vote last year came from Mount Kenya region. This region has a stake in this government. And anybody who tries to make the region feel embarrassed or like they should not say that doesn't understand politics. I have just given you examples of what happens with the Jews in America, what happens to the white evangelicals. Anybody who actually steps up to help anybody get into power has a stake in that government. ANC in South Africa, part of their biggest support group is the unions. Once the unions support you, when you get into office, you can't pretend they didn't support you. And they will keep demanding, you know, we voted for you, so can you do this for us? You know, we voted for you, can you do this for us? And nobody takes offense. So President Ruto has been clear. He doesn't take offense when he's reminded by Mount Kenya region that we stood with you. He actually appreciates that. And he keeps affirming and assuring them. But there are people from other parts of the country who seem to be very offended when the region keeps reminding that, you know, we are stakeholders of this government. I think it's important for us to accept that had this government been made by 2 other communities or any 5 other communities, they would all have the right to claim. Now, there's something I want us to distinguish. Government has the right to deliver services to everybody. But then government has opportunities of who works in it as it delivers these services. Now, the people who work in it, one of the things I've had the president, to some extent, but a lot of it, the deputy president say, must be people who share, whose vision is aligned to the people who went looking for government. And if the people who went looking for that government, a large percentage come from a certain region, then of course that region needs to be represented in that government. So I think I want to make this point that we must stop trying to guilt trip Mount Kenya region when they say that they are stakeholders of the President Ruto government, the Kenya Kwanza government. They are stakeholders. And they went to vote for him against a lot of pressure from people like myself, right? So let's give it to them and let's appreciate and give them what is due to them. So this is for the nation. That particular point is for the country. Now I want to talk to our region, Dwanyuba, Mount Kenya region. I get the impression that once we have finished the conversation that Mount Kenya region has a large stake in the Kenya Kwanza government, we now have to have a conversation about what is the hierarchy of leadership of that stake in this government. Not everybody supported Rigathi Gachagua to be the deputy president of William Ruto. Some of us did everything we could to try and ridicule that issue. Democracy prevailed. And if we agree that democracy prevailed and President Ruto is president, Rigathi Gachagua is deputy, we then must appreciate that in our region, Rigathi Gachagua is actually the senior most politician we have today for this season. If that is the case, the only person who is a national leader, representative of the region today, because every other person is either a member of parliament of somewhere, a senator of somewhere, a cabinet secretary working for the president and the deputy president and for government, the only person whose office, who is in that office because he was able to galvanize directly or indirectly a region to vote for the presidential candidate or his boss, is Rigathi Gachagua. So this infighting I'm seeing within Mount Kenya region of deciding, oh, Rigathi was a one-term MP, then he made it to president, guys, he made it to deputy president, people. He did. However he did it, we don't know. He did. We have to work with what is there. And right now what is there is that Rigathi Gachagua is actually the deputy president and the senior most political leader from our region. So this is a word of warning I want to give to the political leadership of our region. Nobody is going to remove Rigathi Gachagua from being deputy president and replace him. In fact, what I am worried about is if this infighting continues, these 3.9 million votes that we are priding ourselves with will no longer be in one basket. If they're no longer in one basket, you will stop being as a sure bet as you were to President Ruto. And President Ruto is interested in being able to continue having the mandate to run government. If he realized that I cannot trust these Mount Kenya people, they are fighting too much, if he was to replace Rigathi Gachagua, which I do not think he would, but assuming worst case scenario he would not replace him with another person from Mount Kenya region. So let's stop this infighting we're having. Let's align, put our ducks in a row behind Rigathi Gachagua. I mean, if people like myself who did not support Rigathi Gachagua are willing to accept that he's now the regional leader of our region, what about you guys who went around, you members of UDA who went around telling us we are electing the government of William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua? Why would you be the first person to start undermining Rigathi Gachagua? So can we agree? William Ruto survived as deputy president because his troops created a wall around him. And because they created a wall around him, he survived until he became president. Now that he has become president, Kipchumba is the Minister of Transport, right? Cheruiyot is a majority leader. We have, Chelugui, who they are in office. This team that stood around the deputy president when he was deputy president are now benefiting because their man made it. You guys need to sit down and realize that any infighting you're doing now, one, takes away from your political power, which is at 3.9 million votes. Second, stands in the way of you guys actually getting into office, should that be a plan for the future. So my conclusion would be this. Mount Kenya region needs to go behind the tent. Everybody. If Rigathi Gachagua, and I'm very, very proud of him for doing this. I remember I talked about this a couple of months back and I said, I know there was a lot of disappointment within the relationship Rigathi and Uhuru had. But for us to move forward, Rigathi needed to now take over leadership of the region, including Uhuru Kenyatta. This last weekend, he did exactly that. He said, we must respect Uhuru Kenyatta, we must protect him, we must give him the warmth, one, of being a son of our region, a former retired president, and we give him that respect. So, we are now aligned, and we need to align. I mean, of course, there's always, even during Mau there were Gatis who will be out there trying to sell out the community. At this moment in time, we need to align. We need to align, we need to come together. I do not see what benefit it is to any person from Mount Kenya region to fight Rigathi Gachagua in public, so if he loses, you gain. You don't gain, you both lose, right? And I think, as far as I'm concerned, having watched and read President William Ruto, he wants to have a coherent political establishment around him. Coherent political establishment means you don't want to start seeing bickering and infighting in Mount Kenya region. It's one of your strongholds. So he doesn't really, I don't think he appreciates seeing people nitpicking his deputy. So guys, go behind the tent, agree that you are united for the region. My governor Kahiga recently said that the positions that leaders from this region hold are held on behalf of the region. Let's appreciate that. Don't go and misbehave and lose a position that belongs to this region, or make somebody else lose it, because you've actually lost something that belongs to us as a region. I'll end with this Kikuyu saying, Bogo, shitikaranagia ni kwendana. Shikaranagia, shikegitanira. When buffaloes stay together in a herd, it's not because they love each other. It's because they realize if they don't stay together, it becomes very easy for predators like the lion or the leopard to pull down one at a time. Our region's leaders need to appreciate that we expect them to stay together for the sake of their strength, for the sake of the expected benefits to our region. And they need to stay together around Rigathi and support President Ruto, because only there is there a through pass that our region can use to get to the next level. So they have to work together, serve our region, support the guy who is now the region's leader. Not because you like him, but because he's the one who is there right now. Support him, let him succeed. And then you never know what happens in the next step. Hii mambo iko kwa mikono ya Mungu. Sawa. So that's what I have for today. Pray somebody will hear, pray somebody will listen, pray somebody will understand. Of course, I expect I will be misunderstood, but I needed to make that point. Tuko Rware kama kawaida. Still selling China mandazi, nyama choma, kachumbari, rooms, conference facilities, accommodation. Tafadhali, when you're in Nyeri, please visit us. We'll be very, very happy to host you and to serve you. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Asante.